Over a number of years, I've been travelling around the United Kingdom, and one of the permanent fixtures for me is to look out the window and see pieces of machinery with L Lynch written on the side in north, south, east and west. And I've often wondered how this company has been so successful in getting its machines in so many different places. And I've actually had the pleasure now of meeting Mr. L Lynch, Liam Lynch, and I have found that he doesn't give interviews. But I've been at him to try to find out about the secret of the company's success. And at last, he's actually agreed to do so. So here we are with Liam Lynch, and thank you for agreeing to talk to us. In over 40 years of being at the head of L Lynch Plant and Haulage, what's been your biggest learning in terms of how best to run a company?
I mean, there's been a lot of learning, but I would say it's to do with people. It's got to be about people and how you find the best people for the particular roles and get them to work as a team and focus on the customer's needs. We've learned a lot about that.
In dealing with that team challenge, have you had to manage situations where you've got people who are individual, competent star performers, but they're not great team players?
Yeah, we definitely have stars, there's no doubt about that, and we need them. But they are team players as well, because we've had examples in the past where we had people who are brilliant and the customers liked them, but they just wouldn't work with people around them. And we tried our best with them but it just didn't work. And, we had to let them go. Otherwise, they would upset the team.
Can you give an example of where it's all worked and you have had everyone playing together in the same harmonious team?
I think my boys, that's where they come into the picture, really. They are brilliant. They're directors, Meryl and Rob, and they're great at bringing the best out in people, setting the environment where we can do that. They're acting like managing directors now. And then we've got the great team of directors. They're amazing. My boys and the directors, they set the example of teamwork and our values of passion and the can-do approach. It goes right through the company. That's why we've got such great people and such a great company right now.
So in terms of capitalizing on this situation, what are your plans for the company over, say, the next 10 years?
Over the next 10 years, our vision is to be recognized by the customers as the best at what we do nationwide.
So just how close do you feel you are to being seen as being the best in your field?
We're not perfect, and we'll never be perfect. So we'll always want to keep improving because our competitors are improving. The whole industry is improving. So we've got to keep that motivation, that enthusiasm to always do better. Meryl and Rob and the great directors we have, they're leading with that. They are definitely leading on that, and it's going right through the whole company.
So what is the company doing in order to help tackle the world's environmental problems and the particular challenge of climate change?
Yeah, that is a massive challenge for the whole world, isn't it? And we are doing a lot on that. The first thing we're doing is making all our people and our suppliers realize how important it is. Everyone has a part to play, and we collaborate with our customers as well. We've got brilliant customers. We get in the room with our suppliers and we come up with ideas, and that's what's happening at the moment. And we're learning as well from our customers. They're leading on all this.
So what role do you expect technology will play in terms of dealing with these tough environmental problems?
Technology is playing a big role in all this. It's everywhere in life now, isn't it? And it's changing and improving all the time. So it's going to play a big part in reducing carbon and helping the environment.
How did you manage to start the company?
I came to London when I was 17, and I really loved excavators, plant. I really was fascinated by them. I still do. So I ended up getting a job operating one, and I wanted to buy one and hire it out like the company I worked for. I wanted to copy them. So after a couple of years, I got some money together and I ended up buying what you'd call an earth mover. It was a Draught International and it was probably 10 years old or something. You know, they don't do them anymore now. I remember getting hire for it down in Canning Town. And I drive it myself, and it was amazing. I was very, very excited. But it only lasted about less than 2 weeks. But then I had to park it somewhere. So I found a place it was the old dog track in Haringey, and there was a big like lorry park or car park, and I put it down in the corner, parked it there until I get another job. And I used to go and check up on it, and it was there for a few days, and I don't know how long. And I had another job coming up then. I knew it was coming up. So, but one day I went back and the machine was gone. I thought it was the dog track people that took it away because it shouldn't have been there. But no, it was stolen. And I didn't have it insured either. So that was a big, big setback. So I had to start over again. And then I ended up getting another one. And maybe I had about 3 of those. But then this was coming up to, late 70s, and the JCBs were getting very popular then, JCB 3CXs, so I started to buy them. And at the same time, I met Celia, my late wife, and that was a lucky day for me when I met her, really. She was amazing. Then the kids came along with 3 boys. And she was only 20 when we got married. So she was very young. She looked after the boys and she allowed me to focus on the business. I mean, it went on from there then. She took over in the accounts. She became a director after Darren started going to school. That's my youngest son. And the staff loved her. She was so bubbly and fun and a great director as well. And she would allow the staff to bring their kids in to help out with accounts. And she played a big part in the success of the company as well. She remembered people's birthdays. Everyone loved her, you know. They still talk about her. We had 30 amazing years together. We had some great memories. Apart from work, she was so good. She used to do a lot of charity work as well. We had amazing times together, and I do think about that every now and again. That was the great, great years. I thank God for that, really.
I get the feeling over time that a lot has gone right for you. But I presume it hasn't all been plain sailing, and that sometimes, like the stealing of your first machine, it doesn't always go quite right. Have there been other cases where things have not gone according to plan?
Well, that's how we learn. You know, that's how we learn over the years. And when you've got great people, they deal with problems in the right way. If a customer has a problem, we're upfront, we're honest about it, and we look for ways then to put some measures in place where it doesn't happen again. And that's how we've improved over the years, definitely.
So can you give an example of where things did not go right, but your team managed to get things back on track?
There's loads of examples, I'm sure. But they mightn't sound, the ones going way back, like you said, they mightn't sound as good now because of health and safety and the emphasis that we have on the environment and that.
Can you give us an example anyway?
Well, actually, you know, when I'm down around London, I'm reminded of a site down there. They must be building a big block of offices because there was a massive basement. It must have been going down about 5 floors. And I had a machine working down there. And I remember getting a call on a Saturday morning that it was broken down. And it was broken down in the worst possible place because they had prepared for a concrete pour, a massive concrete pour on Monday. And this machine just had to be moved. So I got my fitter out, and he said that the engine was seized and that nothing could do. It needed a new engine. So I got JCBs out, and they said there's no way you can do anything there, because even if they had a new engine, it'd take them over a week to fit, and the machine would have to come out anyway. They couldn't do it down there.
So why couldn't you just tell them to wait and leave the concrete pour for another time?
Well, it was too late for that, I'm afraid. I got a call from the construction director. I'll never forget that call on Saturday as well. And he got the word that this was going on. So he rang me and he said, that machine has to be moved. And he said, if it's not, I will be in big trouble, and I'll pay for the concrete as well. So I was very, very concerned about that. And then the other thing, it was like a perfect storm, really. The machine, where it was broken down, it was too far away for the crane to lift it, because it was so heavy. It'd have to come nearer for the crane to lift it. So the crane was out. Plus there was no driver on the crane either on that day, but it couldn't lift it anyway. I mean, at that time, it was the mid-'80s. I must have had about 18 operators at the time, but I had a few that were top class. That they were more than operators. They would do repairs, they would help out any big problems, they would be there. So I called them out. So there was like 4 of them. I had down the fitters and 2 of my best operators. I got them down there to the site to see what we could do on a Saturday afternoon. And what we'd come up with was that we'd have to take an engine out of another machine that was I remember in Queensbury at the time, and swap them around. But then there was no driver in the crane to lift the engine down, so we didn't know how. I didn't know how we were going to do that. So, but they started to take the engine. 2 of them went to in the site. They'd taken the engine. Were to take the engine out, and the other 2 went taking the other engine out. So on Sunday, they had the engine out, and I still don't know now how they got that engine out. I just don't know how they did, but they did. They got the engine down to the machine. They got the other engine out, and I remember, the only thing I remember then is being there. It must have been about midnight on the Sunday night, and they had their lights, torches. It was really dark down there. They had whatever lights they had, trying to get the machine to start. And that, I was there, and it was very, in the end, they got it started anyway. And I thought, wow, and I remember, I think I picked up one of the operators very early in the morning, and we went there, and the other machines as well. We had them all ready. The machine had been moved out of the way, and they were sitting there ready. And I was watching all the others coming in, and all the lorries, that would be coming in, that were lining up as well. The lorries were starting to line up and wait outside, and I thought, wow, that was a close one,
You got there in the end. What did you actually learn from that incident?
I would have looked at the maintenance of the machines and all the anything we could do to prevent that ever happening again. But I think as well, what I learned was those people that I maybe I didn't even appreciate them as much at the time. Those great people. What would have happened if we didn't have those people at the time, that sorted that problem out? Those great people that got our values, they really had the values of can-do, passion, and teamwork. They had it all. And we owe so much to people like that, because they're the kind of people that have helped us build the business over the years. And you know what? They're the kind of people we have right now as well. With my boys, Merrill and Rob, and all the directors, they set examples of that all the time.
So was there anything else that you learned in the early days that has gone on to become a crucial part of the way the company operates and has been successful?
So many things have changed over the years, obviously, with technology, and the things, like I've said, that have remained the same is the great people with those values of can-do, passion, teamwork. When you get that, and then they're focused on the customer, focused on their goals and vision about how we look after the customer, I mean, that's powerful.
Is there any way you've got to make sure that you get the right kind of people with the right kind of values which your company espouses, so that you've actually got people who immediately fit into the way the company works?
We use agencies to help us with that, and we use our own recruiters as well. We've got recruitment team. So they help with that. And then we've got directors to interview them, and we look for the people with our values. We really do. And it does work. I mean, sometimes we might get it wrong, and it wouldn't be sometimes the fault of the employee or the candidate, but before we had any HR or recruiters, I know I used to interview someone. I would ask them for their previous boss or bosses, the number, the name, the number, and before they'd have left the building, even I would be on the phone to them and ask them off the record, ask their bosses what they, and they would tell you in 10 or 15 minutes what it'd take you 6 months probably to learn about that candidate.
Do the people who are giving the references always tell you exactly the way it is?
Do you know what I find that they do? They really do. Because there's been sometimes where I thought, well, I've seen that candidate, and that ex-boss, he can't be telling me, it can't be right what he's saying, because I've seen the person. They can't be like that for whatever reason. And then maybe 3 months later or whenever, you think, wow, they were spot on.
How much of a role is your company playing in the HS2 or high-speed rail link between various parts of England?
We're very lucky to be playing a part in the HS2 project. There's amazing people there, and the HS2 are improving the whole industry. They're raising the standards with innovation. They really encourage innovation on health and safety, on the environmental challenge, and all other ways. We're so lucky to be able to collaborate with them on all kinds of issues. And they're bringing us up as well. They're making us better because of their standards.
So what ambitions do you have to take the company beyond the shores of the United Kingdom and to operate in other countries as well?
Not at the moment, because we're focused on what I said, like I said, to be the best at what we do nationwide. But eventually, in time, there's no reason why not. That's the way it's meant to be. Definitely. It just reminds me of my youngest son, Darren, when he must have been about, I don't know, maybe 2 or something, and he was going to sleep one night. And he said, Dad, are we the biggest plant hire in the world? And I said, no, Darren, we're not now, but someday, So it was always on our minds. It was always on our minds, and it's ingrained in the boys as well. From an early age, we talk about, that there's no limits on what we can do in business.
So projecting into the future, how confident are you that one day one or more of your grandchildren will actually end up running the company?
That would be the dream, that, like I said, from the very beginning, that's the way it's meant to be. And I'm hoping that will be the case. And looking at the grandkids now, they're so smart. They do amaze me how clever they are. They've got the ability, they'll have the education, they'll have all that, but they will need to have that hunger for success. That's got to be there. That's got to be there. And the determination and that ambition, if they have that, then we will expand. But those qualities, they will need that. I think they will, because part of it will be my boys, like I used to with them. I teach them the business. I talk to them about it. I take them to our offices and yard. I used to do that. They do the same with their kids now, and it's so nice to see. I think it'll be in their blood, and I think they will do it.
Well, if you're right, and that does happen, some of the grandchildren actually take over running the company, what do you expect the company will be like in many years into the future?
Everything keeps changing, the industry will change and they'll have to adapt to the way things are, to what the customers want. They'll have to probably go into different areas of business. The products we have might have to change. They'll need the ideas to take it forward. But the basic instinct of that ambition and that hunger for success, if that's there, all the rest of it will come. They're clever enough, definitely. And it'll be amazing. That would be the big dream, and I think it will happen.
Liam Lynch, thank you very much.